Good morning, everybody. I'm Micheline from Americana Long Arm Quilting. We do custom quilting and long arming, and you can find a link to our website in the description below. That is also where you're going to find a free downloadable PDF of this fun Christmas wall hanging. Now, it is a balmy 70 degrees on December the 3rd in South Carolina. Why wouldn't we want to do a Christmas video? All right, let's get started. So this wall hanging is made out of Riley Blake's Yuletide Forest, for the most part. These two fabrics and this are from yardage, but the rest is from a jelly roll. So if you've got a Christmas jelly roll hanging around and a few little pieces of fabric, you can make this. Now, I found these two trees on YouTube. I found this one on Donna Jordan's website, Jordan Fabrics. I love her channel. Shout out to her. She is so incredibly informative. I've learned so much just from watching her videos. I think she did this last year, and she did it in a couple of wall hangings, and it was a wonderful video. This is a pattern from Fig Tree and Company. On the pattern, the tree is larger. It has a container box. It has a star on the top. Really cute. So if you want that pattern, go to Fig Tree and Company or go to Donna Jordan's channel. This one, I saw it just recently, but I think the video I watched was about 3 years old. Amy Smart did this one, and I loved the way it was just so simple to put together, and I'm going to show you how to do that too. All right. I couldn't decide which one I liked better, so I did them both, and I made a Yuletide Forest out of Yuletide Forest. In the end, this is going to be about 20 by 42 inches. I am making two of them. As you know, in my house, I've got cabinets in my kitchen that the sides of the cabinets face the living room, and that's a perfect place for a wall hanging, so I need two. Now, today's wall hangings are not going to be twins. They are going to be sisters, because we're going to change some colorways. And when I get it all quilted, I found these adorable little ribbons, because these are supposed to be packages, Christmas packages. See the ribbons? I found the adorable ribbons at Walmart, 6 for $2.48. And when it's all quilted, I'm going to go ahead and put those ribbons right there. Won't that be cute? All right, I'm going to go and show you how all the different components come together to make this. First of all, at the top, there's rows of 10 2.5-inch squares, and we'll sew those together in the rows. Press that one way, press this one the other way, and then sew those together, and that happens on the top and the bottom. Now, these two trees are really easy to make. This one from Donna Jordan's channel or Fig Tree and Company, you just get a couple of pieces. You cut all your pieces here, and again, these will all be in the free downloadable PDF. But to make that angle, you sew it at a 45-degree angle, and boom, there's your pointy tree. Yeah, fun, right? And I'm going to show you how to do that. This one is a really cute tree, easy. Again, super easy to make. Let me show you how to do that. So you're going to cut two pieces, and I cut them oversized. Two pieces of your background at about 10 inches wide by about 14 inches long. That's not how long this is. That's not how big this is going to be, but that was a good starting point. And you do want it to be a little bit oversized so you can cut it down. And I fussy cut this to show more of the black in this particular piece of fabric because I thought it showed up better. I cut a piece of this about 7 by 14 inches. And then I just took my ruler and I kind of decided where I wanted my center point and just cut. And this is going to be trimmed down. Then I've got my trunks and my pieces that connect to the trunk. And then this will finish it off at the bottom. Now, how I got the measurements for both of these trees, and in reality, the entire wall hanging, was from this block right here. Let me get around here so I can point at it a little bit better. This was the starting point for all my measurements. because I didn't know. There are calculations out there for a square and a square, which this is what this is. 4.5 inches. If I had just used the 4 2.5-inch blocks, that would have made a 4.5-inch square. And I could have figured the calculations if I wasn't putting this strip in here. But because I was strip piecing them here, I'm going to, and I will show you this at the machine, piece these together to a strip here and here, and then I'll piece them to a strip in the middle. That made it a little bit larger. So I had to start with that. So once I got that all sewn, and these I strip pieced 2 pieces of the different greens together, and then I cut them at a 45-degree angle, swapping each time. So this one, well, actually this one would have been this way, and then this one would be, whoops, here like this, right? And I'll show you that at the machine, or at the cutting table. Once I got all that sewn together, that came together at 7.25 inches squared. So that's what this had to be. I mean, it didn't have to be, but I thought, you know, if I'm going to have 3 of these across the center there, then this should be 1/3 and this should be 2/3. So that's where I got all my measurements. That's where I got the direction to go in, as I started here first. And you'll notice that I used green here, whereas I used black there. So that's what I mean by they're sisters and not twins. All right, let's head over to the cutting table. I'm going to show you how to do this, and I'm going to show you how to do this, and then it'll be time to go into the sewing machine. And again, we're going to start with this, and I'll show you how to make all the components to make this work. Here's our square and a square. Let me show you how to make it. The first thing you're going to do is we are going to take 2 of your 2.5-inch squares and sew them onto one side of a strip of your sashing strip. Okay, now I'm going to, before I press that open, I'm going to take this and trim off all those little extra pieces, and I'm just using the side of my 2.5-inch square to as a guide to where to cut it. And if I'm cutting off some of the little peaks of that pinking edge of the square, that's okay. All right, now we're going to take and put I'm just going to finger press this for right now, and I'm finger pressing it towards the squares. I'm going to put those back where they belong. This one goes here, this one goes here. Now I'm going to take him, and I'm going to sew those 2 together. All right. Okay. Now we're going to do this one. Okay. There we go. And when we iron that nice and flat, these are the 2 pieces we're going to get. Okay. And now we're going to take one of these and we're going to sew them both onto that. So let's start with this side. Okay. Now we're going to do our same thing. We're going to cut off the edges, or cut off the excess sashing using my 2.5-inch squares. Let me turn him around so I'm not cutting against myself there, being the lefty that I am. Okay. Now I'm going to just finger press this towards the sashing this time. So again, it's not fighting against those 2 seams I made earlier. Now this is really important. You want to make sure that if you have directional fabric like I do, these little deer right here and here, you want to make sure that you're not trying to sew it like that, because that's not opposing sides. So you turn it around. I thought for a second there I had sewn it on wrong. Okay, and we're going to do it like this. Get that set. All right. Now that's the center of our square in a square. Let me get that pressed. I'm going to press those, like I said, I'm going to press those seams towards the sashing. And this is where I'm going to get my measurement of how to make those, where to put those in there. So I've measured that, and it looks as though to me I need to do that on that 5-inch mark. Let me see if I can get that turned around. I need to cut those on that 5-inch mark. This line right here. Because that's about 1/4 of an inch past either side of this, and I'll have a little bit of room to trim. So I unfortunately had messed up the video that I was going to show you cutting these, so I'm just going to kind of replicate that here on my table right now. Okay, put that there and that there. Well, let me turn that around. That works better to show you, doesn't it? Okay, put that there. That one's going to go there. This one's going to go here. And then this little guy right here is our waist. Okay, so there's my strip, my jelly roll strips laid out. Okay, and just imagine a nice long line. So then what I do is I take this guy right here, this 45-degree triangle, and I put it that edge of the fabric on that solid 5-inch line, or 5-inch mark. Okay, and then because I'm left-handed, I'm going to bring this ruler over here, scoot this out of the way, and cut that. Okay, and then bring it back in, right? Scoot that one out of the way and cut that side. Okay, so then that one is cut. We can scoot him out of the way. The next I'll do is I'm going to switch my ruler and put it here. Again, the 5-inch mark right there. And I'm going to cut that. Get that out of the way. Now I'm going to flip this again and come up here. But I'm going to be wasting essentially this little guy right here, because I couldn't go any further, couldn't go any closer over there. I'd cut him, right? So again, I'm going to take my other ruler here, move that a little out of the way, cut that, scoot him out of the way, okay? And then I can cut this, and that will be my waist. And I'll just continue down the strip doing that. All right, now I'm going to reposition, and I'm going to get those square on a squares sewn to the inner square. Okay, the first thing we need to do in putting all of our square on a squares together is make sure they're all oriented the same way. So I've got a deer in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to put this deer in the upper right-hand corner and this deer in the upper right-hand corner. Then I want all of these with the brighter green and the flowers to go on this, the top and the bottom, and we'll want all of these to go on the sides. Okay, so let me move him out of the way and this one out of the way, and I'm going to keep him right where I can see him so I don't mess this up. And I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to turn him over here. Okay, and I am going to line him up on the bottom along this bottom edge, and I'm going to put his point right in the middle of that sashing. Okay, making sure I don't turn over my seams underneath there. Okay, let's spin him around and do that one more time. I'm going to come and get him out of the way, and I am going to press these away from that center square, and I just did that ever so slightly just to get it out of my way. Now here's my poverty pieced little guy right there. I had done the other trees out of this fabric. And so when I had decided to make them sisters and not twins, I had to go and piece a little pieces back together, so I had enough of the green strips to make my square and the squares. So I've got a bunch that are poverty pieced, and that's okay. Nobody's ever going to know except you. All right, I'm going to line up that bottom piece, and I'm going to put that one right in the center of the sashing strip, and I'm going to do this again, making sure that my seams don't turn over. There we go. Alrighty. I'm going to turn that guy like that very carefully. He's going to take a little extra piece pressing because he's got those two poverty pieces in there. All right, now we're going to put him back. See? We're matching, we're matching, we're matching. Now we're going to get these two guys here and sew them on. Again, I'm going to match the bottom up, and I'm going to center that in the sashing. Right. Let's do that one more time. Okay. And he's in the center there. Go. Place. Okay. All right, there we go. Now what we're going to do, see, all done. Now what we're going to do, and I'm just going to show you on this one, is we're going to trim it up. Now we want these to be 7 1/4, so that leaves the center mark being 3 1/8. 3 1/8. Is that right? Or 3 5/8. Beg your pardon. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to put my ruler on the center right at that 3 5/8 mark. I'm going to make sure that that 3 5/8 mark is every place in the center. And then I'm going to trim that off. I've already done it. Spin it. Put the ruler right there at 3 5/8. There, and there. And trim. And I'm going to keep on going around until it's all trimmed up. And now it is a nice 7 1/4 inch square, and that is the beginning of the rest of our figures. All right, let's move on to the next component. I think that's going to be the Donna Jordan Christmas tree. Okay, here I've got my little Christmas tree laid out, and I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to take one of these and one of these, and you can see I've got all my pieces laid here because I am just going to chain piece. This is just like you would connect your binding or your borders. You're going to go like this. Put right sides together in this funny L, and I'm going to sew from this corner to this corner. Some diagonal seam tape would work really good here. Don't have any of that. I am winging it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this guy back just a little bit so I can see there's a 0 on my machine here. And I'm going to make sure that my green piece is lined right up with that, and I'm going to head for that corner. And then as I get closer, I'm just going to flip that guy over and just kind of keep an eye on that corner until I get all the way down there. And let's see how I did. Okay. I'd say I did pretty darn good. There we go. Whoops. There we go. Now, I'm going to do that to all these other pieces. no need to watch me do that. I'm going to do that to all those other pieces, and when I get down here to the bottom, I'm just going to sew them with a straight seam along either side of the trunk. Okay, and then I'm going to put them all together, and I'm going to top it with another red 2.5 inch rectangle. Okay, watch me do that. I'm going to put it on the pressing mat, and I'm going to turn those over. That's nothing new, is it? Okay, so now to get this all lined up, when I go to sew these pieces together, I'm going to put a press line in the very center. So I'm going to take him and I'm going to turn him over. Let me find the other side of him. There we go. I'm going to line him up like that. And then I'm just going to put a light crease mark right there and right there. And then when I put him in here, he's going to match this press line, and that one's going to match that press line, etc., etc., etc. And it'll be really easy to put together. You just have to make sure you're matching that center piece. And I'll probably go ahead and put a pin so that I don't get off that line. Okay, let's get to that next. Well, first, almost forgot, you got to cut off these little corners. And because my mat is covered, I'll probably just do it with these. And so, just going to do that to everybody. All right, I got my 2 trees done, and I'm going to set those aside, and then I'll trim them up once we get the other tree done, which is what we're going to turn our attention to now. Okay, it's been a difficult videoing day. I messed up the video of cutting this, and I'm out of fabric now, so I have to show it to you this way. First of all, I started off with an oversized piece. I cut a piece of this background about 10 by 14 inches. And then I cut a piece of this, and I had to fussy cut this to get the dark colors because the lighter colors just didn't show up as well against this fabric. So I fussy cut a piece about 6 by 14 inches, thereabouts. And what I did next is I simply put my ruler here. I found the center of this, and I put my ruler, and I just cut through all of the pieces at once, pulled that aside, and then took it over here and cut through this side, all pieces at once. So now I've got this. So what I do then is I take out these, and I take out the background from underneath these. And of course, I'm doing 2 of these trees, so there's 2 pieces of this and 2 pieces of this. So now all I have to do is I'm going to take this piece and this guy, and I'm going to sew them back together. And then when that's done, I'll sew this back together. And at that point, I'm going to trim it down to the 7 1/4 inches, and I'm going to trim it down to about, I don't know, 10 or 11 inches here, and then I'll put on the bottom, the trunk and the bottom of the tree. Okay, so let's get to doing that. Okay, so let's take this guy and turn him over here, like so. Okay, and it doesn't matter which side you start from, because my pieces, I had cut them wrong sides together. So I'd cut them like this. Okay, because I got one done. And I had cut them wrong sides together. Okay, so one got sewn this way first and this one's getting sewn this way first. It doesn't really matter, okay? But either way you start, you're going to want to make sure that you have a good control over this point, because it's such a little tiny point, it tends to go wee or wee. You don't want it to do that. So it is easier to start with that point than end with it. All right. Let's get him out of the way. Set that seam, turn it over, and we want to turn it towards, we want to press it towards the background, huh? Because that's, again, a little point up there at that top, and if you're trying to put those two seams pressed together, that won't work. So you press it away from the Christmas tree. Okay? Now we've got this piece to put on here. Okay? And so we're just going to turn him over. And it doesn't matter if you're a little bit high or a little bit low, because we're going to cut some of this off. And I know I've got a lot of room at the bottom, so I just pulled it up just a little bit. Okay. Now let's get that sewn. See how quick this tree is? Super easy to do. All right, let's press that. Press it away from the center. Okay. All right, and there we go. Now, what I have to do is I have to take it over to my large cutting board, and I measured the other wall hanging to see exactly how much space I had up here and how long I had made it prior to putting on the trunk. So I'm going to go cut it down to that size, and I want to say it was, I better go measure it again, I think it was 12 inches from, that's what it was. It was 1.25 inches. I had 1.25 inches of space up here, and it overall measured 12 inches. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'll be right back here with it. And we'll put on the trunk and the bottom. Okay, I'm failing at videoing today. I messed up another video, and I've already used the pieces, so I can't go back. But what I have done is I have trimmed this down to 14.25 inches wide and 14.5 inches long, and I've trimmed this down to 7.25 wide by 14.5 inches long, and those two sewn together are going to equal the width of this. Let's get all these put together now, okay? All right. So one of them, we're going to put this on the right, and one we're going to put on the left. Hoping I'm better at sewing today than videoing. Let's put my glasses back on. Now, there's a lot of seams in this Christmas tree here, so I'm going to want to kind of make sure that I've got them not stretched out, but correctly spread out, so that I'm not, I don't get at the end and go, oh my gosh, I've got too much of this tree and not enough of the other. Of course, it would have been better if I had gone the other way, and then I wouldn't have to be continuing to fix these seams from flipping over. It has been a day. You know why? Because it's 70 degrees outside and it's in December. That's what's wrong. That's what it is. I have figured it out. All right. Got that one together. Now, I'm going to press this open, and I'm definitely going to press it away from the red. There are far less seams that way. And then I'm going to get this onto the bottom of it. But first, I've got to go see which one went on the top and which one went on the bottom so that I don't get it mixed up. I'll be back. All right. So I've got one sewn on. He went on the top. Yes, I had to look at my sister one over there. So that one went on the top like that. And I made sure that my deer were heads up, not bottoms up. You know, because it's been that kind of a day. I'm just going to tell you. All right, now I'm going to take this one and put him on the bottom. Okay, let's get a leader in there. Glasses on. Okay. And of course, this first side is where I've got the seams that should match. And they do. Yay. Be careful going over that center clump of stuff. That doesn't feel right. Get open there, you. There we go. All right, now I'm going to go down here and match the bottom. Okay. Okay, let's get this going that way a little bit. The seams open. There we go. Okay. Now we've got that much of our wall hanging done. We are on the home stretch. I'm going to press this seam away from the center stuff because this is the bulky part right here. All we have left to do are our 2 rows on top and 2 rows on the bottom of 2.5-inch squares. That's going to be super easy. Let's get to that now. Okay, now I've got my 4 rows lined up here, and I'm just going to take them the top 2 and put those together, and like so. Find my foot pedal, go to the second row, get the top 2. I love chain piecing. I think it's one of the most relaxing, productive things that I do when I sew. I just love it. And after a day like I've had, I can't tell you how many times I messed up a video today. Can't even begin to tell you. It's just been crazy. We'll do our last 4 or last set here. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to leave these all together. Get my leader out. Okay, and now I'm going to open this up, get another one, and sew it onto there, and just keep going until all of those are done. Good morning, everybody. It is a brand new day. and I'm hoping things go a lot better than they did yesterday. I've got both my wall hangings loaded up on the machine, and I have chosen to use red thread and this adorable little snowflake design. See if I can get you to see another snowflake. Isn't that cute? This is going to be wonderful. Sarge is in charge, and he says, let Eleanor get back to work. So here we go. I'll show them to you when they get off the machine. All right, y'all, for as many issues as I had filming this tutorial, I think they turned out really beautifully. I have a question for you. Would you like us to sell kits of some of our wall hangings or quilts on our website? Leave a comment down below and let us know. Now, again, I didn't even get to show you the video where I made the borders. These are just 2.5-inch squares, 10 2.5-inch squares, 2 rows of them, and you press one row one way, one row the other way, and nest those seams. Now, the reason I got such good points there is because of that 1/4-inch seam allowance. Man, that is the one thing that'll really take your quilting game up to the next level. And I've got some tips on how you can get those good 1/4-inch seam allowances. Obviously, you can get a 1/4-inch seam allowance foot. This is just a magnet you put on your machine. That works great for a 1/4-inch seam. Get some tape. Just make sure it's not too tacky, because that'll gum up the top of your machine. Heck, it's your machine. If you want to draw a line on it, draw a line on it. Just be aware that this Sharpie will eventually rub off. Ask me how I know. Now, let's take a look at these. Drop my pole. Let's take a look at these quilts. This is the little bit darker one. This is the greener one. So they're sisters, not twins. They've got cute little bows on them. Let me show you the back. I quilted it with some adorable snowflakes. I just love how they both turned out. Now, if y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope for all the work it was that you do enjoy the video, please like, subscribe, and share. Do all those things that make that algorithm sing. Now, from all of us at Americana Long Arm Quilting, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Bye.